It's the best day of the year until the actual event finals. It's our Worlds Part 2 event finals preview. I'm in Jakarta by the time that you are listening to this, and today, event finals, the best final of them all. Who's favored? Who's a spoiler? How to watch like an expert. It is October 13th, lucky number 13. Welcome to the number one gymnastics podcast in the galaxy. I'm Jessica, and here's Spencer from the Balance Beam Situation. Our live coverage from Jakarta starts in 4 days on October 17th. After the first day of women's podium training. So if you want to ask us questions live, check out Club Gym Nerd, and you can join us for that podcast. Watch us record, maybe make some mistakes live, and you can also ask us questions. Nothing ever happens.
No.
It's totally fine.
We're
And if you want to
great.
hear the behind the scenes stories, that's what the Club Gym Nerd members get. They get the extended version of those episodes. So World's Part
you
2.
guys, let me tell you what I heard backstage.
Exactly.
You guys, I watched by where the gymnasts eat, and let me tell you.
Let me tell you, there's a giant...
There was no food. It was empty.
This is Jessica breaking into this episode to record an update from Singapore on our way to Jakarta. It's October 13th, and I've been waiting all day for a CAS decision. That's the Court of Arbitration for Sport. That did not come, but let me tell you what's going on. Indonesia has denied the Israeli delegation visas. Jakarta does not have diplomatic relations with Israel, so they had to agree to an unprecedented exception to host this World Championships. The Israeli delegation included Olympic and world floor champion Artem Dolgopyat. So here's the deal. Article 26.4 of the FIG statute states that if visas are denied, the event is to be canceled with immediate effect. But the very next statute, 26.5, says that the FIG Executive Committee has the power to vote on that decision or not. So even though they have a rule that says they have to cancel this, they also have a rule that says, well, we can vote on whether we should continue the event or it should be held elsewhere or withdrawn. So after this happened, the FIG issued a statement on October 10th. Quote, the FIG takes note of the Indonesian government's decision not to issue visas to the Israeli delegation and recognizes the challenges that the host country has faced in organizing the event. The FIG hopes that the environment will be created as soon as possible where athletes around the world can enjoy sports safely and with peace of mind. End quote. In response, according to the Israeli sports system, the Israeli Federation appealed to CAS, which is the Court of Arbitration of Sport, and the FIG had to defend their decision to continue to host Worlds. So we waited all day for this, but that CAS decision hasn't come, and we don't really have any evidence of that CAS filing, but they're not super transparent. So meanwhile, according to the Jakarta Globe, Senior Minister Mahendri confirmed that he had discussed the matter with the immigration minister. According to him, the International Gymnastics Federation had initially issued a sponsorship letter to support the Israeli athletes' participation, but later withdrew it after Indonesia made the position clear, end quote. The FIG has moved world championships before. They moved them back and forth when they were being held in Bulgaria in 1974. You can go to Uncle Tim's Gymnastics-History to read the whole story. But basically, Bulgaria also didn't have diplomatic relations with the country of apartheid South Africa at the time, so they refused to give the South African gymnast visas. It was eventually resolved, but not before they had moved the World Championships somewhere else. So this isn't unprecedented. This is, however, so close to World Championships that it seems almost impossible to move them, although the Israeli Federation wanted them to be delayed. The thing to know about this is sources have told us for a long time before this World was given to Jakarta that the FIG was having a really hard time finding hosts for this World Championship specifically. Faced with the choice of no Worlds at all for anyone or a World without Israel, did the FIG choose the latter? It's kind of looking that way. Either way, this will be an asterisk meet, like the 84 and 80 Olympics with the boycotts or 24 in Paris. We'll talk about this more in our first episode. One other update, how to watch. BBC Two, BBC iPlayer, and the BBC Sport will be showing finals. So if you get those, you can watch. Okay, I'll see you guys. Next update will be from Jakarta.
Vault preview. Gymternet. World rankings. Gymter.net.
Yes.
They are as follows. Wong, so this is a combined. You have the big timey bonus. This is your combined ranking for both vaults because that's how
your
you
two
win.
Vaults. We're not ranking people with their one vault like an all-arounder, only doing one vault.
No. We are doing, you have to have two because that's how it works. So, Leanne Wong, US, number 1. Carla Navas is number 2. Deng is number 3. She's just vaults from China. Fontaine from Canada. Big ass vaulter, so good, so easy. Georgieva from Bulgaria, which has the best landing celebrations. And then I just want to tell you that Dr. Vault, Elsa Hertz from the Netherlands, is not here because Netherlands only sending 2 women because sexism? What? We've never heard of that. So anyway, the vault finals canceled anyway because Elsa Hertz is in there. I'm not over it yet, but let's talk about who is here.
Okay, let's start with some of the pre-meet favorites in the difficulty score department. So we'll start with the United States of Chung, Leanne Wong and Joss Roberson. We are expecting them both to go for a Chung, which is a round off half on, front layout 1.5, and a Yurchenko double full. That puts them tied for the highest cumulative 2 vault D score in the world. So that's kind of the peak of difficulty that we're expecting at these world championships. That puts them in right away, just on difficulty, puts them, I think, in the pre-meet medal favorite category. Big question, big asterisk being, we actually haven't seen Joss Roberson land a Chung on a competition service in a meet this year. She trained it at nationals, but then was like, my ankle is not working. And then at the selection competition, they were not doing a competition landing. So we still haven't actually seen it. But if she lands it, she's got the difficulty edge with Leanne Wong. Also, Deng Yalan of China, who has the same difficulty total with different vaults. She does the handspring Rudy and the Souk layout double full. So she's the other one who we've seen so far this year be up there with her vault difficulty. My question for you, Jessica. So I was watching Deng Yalan's vaults. Handspring Rudy, Souk layout double full. Are her 2 vaults actually just the same vault with different hand placement? Because I will be honest, when I watched the video, I was like, why did this person uploading this video just put the same vault twice instead of putting her 2 vaults? And I was like, oh no, wait, those are her 2 vaults.
So I watched this very carefully, and I also watched it from head on, and I watched it from all over. And thank you to the person that did a whole retrospective on YouTube of her vault since she was a junior. And you can see how much stronger, more power she's gotten. But anywho, here's the thing about it. She actually does place her hands straight forward when she does the handspring version. But there is a tiny bit of staggering the way she does it. But they're not the same. Like the Souk is clearly, the hands are apart. She's turned like you're supposed to do, a quarter on, a half on. So they are a different hand placement, but I think from the side, it looks like they're the same vault. But
so you're telling me I just wasn't paying attention?
I'm telling you, you didn't watch an entire retrospective of every single vault she's ever competed.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Okay, I'm ready. So I think she's right up there as a medal contender, potential gold with those 2 vaults because she is comfortable with them. She lands them consistently. She has been landing them consistently, and that's a big deal in this field, that she has the proven vaults that, like, it's not just that one good time I landed it, which I think we're going to see a lot of at this World. But we have also a wide world of spoilers beyond just the few difficulty favorites, starting with Angelina Melnikova. What if she whips out a Chung?
She could.
Because then she's Chung Yurchenko double full, just like Leanne Wong and Joss Roberson. She's right up there and could be.
And that gives her such a huge advantage D-score wise, because this is the thing I want to say about vault. So if you're watching vault, so we're going to tell you how to watch like an expert, right? If you're watching vault and you were like, oh, that was pretty, it was clean, but she could literally take 2 steps and touch the vault. That's not enough power and distance. If she's piking down on her vaults, not enough power and distance. You should be relatively straight into the ground. If you have to like twist and then whip your legs down, pike as hard as you can, land with your nose touching your knees, deduction. So when you look at people who have super power like Deng does, like Carla Navas does, like Fontaine does, then that's like a different category of vault with that kind of power. Abigail Martin is another one. That's a big difference because it gives you the amplitude to have good form. So Melnikova, I'm like, yeah, she could probably do a chung, but is she gonna pike it down? Yes. And that's going to be a big deduction.
The piked version of that vault does not exist in the Code of Points.
Oh, that's right.
So if you do a 1.5 twist and you're super piked, you're going to get credit for the difficulty and just theoretically get deducted for pike. But if you only do a half twist, they can downgrade it to a piked position, which is why we talked about this with Hwang too, where it would pay so much to upgrade to the chung, not just because it's a higher D score, it's because it can't be downgraded to a piked shape.
Right, which is like, yes. Why even do it laid out?
Carla Navas, who is absolutely in Wide World of Spoilers, second highest score in the world behind Wong. And what she doesn't get bonus points for, but she does get gymnastic bonus points for, is that she's not doing the same damn vault as everybody else. Like she's doing a round off half on front layout full, which no one else is doing. So, thank you. It's not just, oh, do you have a chung or a handspring Rudy or your Jager double full or a Suk double full? And those are the 4 vaults.
Yep.
So it's just a little, it's a little different. I would put Georgieva of Bulgaria still is in my Wide World of Spoilers. She has been personally victimized all year long by the 0.2 bonus rule. You get 0.2 at the end of your vault on your top of your vault average. If you have different post-flight directions, she doesn't. So she keeps beating people, and then they jump ahead of her once they get the 0.2 bonus. And she's like, thanks, I guess.
So the bonus is they have to be 2 different directions. So you have to do a front flip and a back flip on either, not both at the same time on your vaults. But if you can do a full twisting double back, then go ahead. But so one has to be a back flip, one has to be a front flip, with all the twists, whatever, but the direction has to be different. So we are like, she's got to be working on just like a handspring front or something so she'll have that front vault. Like, please, Bulgaria, what are you doing? So we're just hoping that she doesn't lose just because of that bonus. So, yeah.
My big question for vault overall and the vault final at this Worlds is, does the group of gymnasts who are doing very strong Yurchenko double full and Lopez combinations have enough D? So the Lopez is round off half on, front layout half. It can also be downgraded to the Pugapaiva, which is the piked version, which we'll talk about and have. If they go really clean and do really well executed vaults, do they actually have enough difficulty to medal? Or is everyone's vault execution score going to be in the same tiny range so that like an ugly chung beats a clean Lopez?
Yes.
Because I'm worried that we're going to see really clean vaults from that group. This is Leah Monica Fontaine, Karina Schoenmeyer, Abby Martin are 3 people who are doing those vault combinations. I think my concern is that they are going to be the cleanest vaulters, and then they're not going to be close to the medals just because they don't have enough D. But if they, like, the judges show up and are like, actually, we had a meeting and we're going to take 80 million execution deductions because for this individual Worlds, which has happened before, do they then bump up because they have the execution? Some of them. In places.
Yeah. I mean, and I feel like this all comes back to that, like, if you pike your freaking chung, so round off half on, 1.5 off, if you do that, so it's a front flip with 1.5 twist, if you pike it all the way around, so you're like a spinning top going sideways, you're not even going through the vertical plane, you're basically horizontal pikes flipping, it doesn't matter. So then your E score isn't going to be enough to make a difference because you have that huge D score. And I feel like that change is making a gigantic difference in who's going to attempt a chung versus do a clean Lopez.
The other question I have in terms of medals is who's going to bring it back in the moment or who's not quite ready yet? Because how many vault finals has Ellie Black made in her career? 80, 100 billion. Is her difficulty there? Shalyn Olsen is on the roster. She has made a ton of vault finals. We know she can do a chung. depending on the shape. I mean, it's an interpretive shape, but it is a round. Asia D'Amato has made plenty of vault finals before. She can have 2 competitive vaults, but she's just coming back, just at her first all-around in a long time at Italian championships. Lisa Vollen of Belgium, another one with a handspring Rudy, who could do it. Ming van Aken of France, another one with a handspring Rudy, who could get in there with a second vault. So a lot of people could jump into Wide World of Spoilers, but we haven't seen their normal vault difficulty yet this year, and we do, or like lately, and we don't know if they're necessarily going to be in a position to go for it at Worlds, but could definitely make a final. And if they're close, I think they should, because it's not that deep of a group.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about double full and something else, you're close. Go for it.
I want to talk about watching like an expert.
Yes. Let's teach me. Teach me how to vault like how to watch vault like an expert, please.
Yes. So we have the potential incoming drama alert on the your Chenko halves. The Chungs versus the Lopez we just talked about. So you lose 2 points, like as in 2 falls.
Yeah, 2 points.
For showing support on one hand. So if you do, you risk the Chung because you're like, bad form, doesn't matter. My D score is going to be so gigantic, I can pike it the whole way around. But you put one hand down, 2 points.
2 points.
2 points off. That's massive. So is it worth the risk? I mean, we saw that there were 2 falls from the U.S. gymnasts at the trials, although it wasn't on a real, it's like on a resi with mats on it. It wasn't a real landing surface. You know who didn't have that problem was Deng from China when she was landing on a wonky surface at the Chinese trials. I'm just saying different faults, but so huge 2 points. Okay. Downgrading the Lopez to a Podkopayeva, 6/10 lower, more than grabbing the beams, which is 5/10 for too much pike. So
will you explain what people should look for if they're watching? Like, oh, okay, she tried to do the Lopez. Is it going to be downgraded to a pike? If you want to like watch with people and be like the annoying gym nerd, as we all want to be, where you're like, you thought that was good, but actually she should get downgraded to Podkopayeva.
Yeah. So basically, if your hips are not open, if there is any bend in your hips, if you can pause your screen, take a screenshot, and you can't draw a straight line from the shoulder joint to the hip joint to the knee joint, if there's any bend in there, it's going to get downgraded. That's the problem. And they're much stricter on vault now. I feel like because they're really worried about injuries on vault. This is like what I'm like, you have to make your turns all the way around. Like they're being more strict on things now. And I feel like this is part of the Paris floor drama that got dragged over to all the events. Is like, why are we trying to give credit if things aren't all the way around? Like it should be credit or no credit. So if you can draw, if there's any bend in that line, remember it's big, the big joints. So it's not muscles. It's not someone has bigger muscles, smaller muscles, none of that stuff. It's the joint itself. So think about if you had a Barbie, my God, there's going to be an Alona Mar Barbie now. So now I have to buy a fucking Barbie. Anyway, but she's like buff, which is I'm stoked about. So I'm like, this is good. Anyway, the points at which you would move the Barbie parts, that is where you want to draw a line. So does that help, Spencer?
Thank you. Yes. Now that you explain it in Barbie terms, I understand.
You're welcome. I'm here for you.
So will you also explain to me the new pre-flight deduction for the Yurchenko half-on vaults?
Yeah. So this is think about the half-on, like the round off on, doing the Chung, doing the Lopez, any of those. So it's 3/10 for not showing a clear half turn onto the table. A clear half turn. So it's not round off on, look over my shoulder. I'm only
a little no look pass onto the vault table.
Right.
Yeah.
When you're just like, I only made it a quarter of a way around. I did not make it halfway. You have to be facing the other direction. So your belly button, when you touch the table, should be facing the runway from whence you came. That is what it needs to look like. Does that make sense? So I am facing so a half turn. So I'm round off onto the board. So now I'm facing where I came from. I do a half turn. Now I'm in a handstand. So my belly button is still facing the way I came from. So I'm ready to do a front flip off the vault.
I'm more confused.
It is.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
The belly button threw me.
I
don't like to think about belly buttons. So,
Okay.
but now I feel like I'm okay.
I promise I will never touch your belly button. Can you imagine if someone
Can you imagine if you did that? Oh, I'm stressed out just thinking about it.
Murder.
Immediate
Okay.
murder.
Yeah. So if you, what's another way to describe it? Your belly button is okay. Your eyes are facing where you came from when you do a round off. So you're on the board.
Yes.
The vault is behind you. Your eyes are like, I just came from right there. Then you turn. If you can't see where you just came from again, deduction.
Got it.
With your whole body square. So your hips, your knees, your toes are all facing in alignment. I used to tell a gymnastic coach, like, imagine you have little lasers on your hip bones and on your shoulders, and they're pointing that way, and you want to, you'll miss if you don't turn the lasers that way, because obviously everything was in superhero terms.
Yeah, obviously.
Do you have any other questions, Spencer?
That really helped me. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
Once you start talking about eye lasers, I was like, oh, thank God, my dream.
Don't fake your half turn.
Don't fake your half turn.
Get it all the way around. Yeah. No staggered hands nonsense like, oh, yeah, I did it. There's also the 0.2 bonus added onto the final score for different post-flight directions, which we talked about, which is this is, if you want to win a medal, you got to have a back flip and a front flip vault. That means when you take all your hands, leave the vault, and you flip your post-flight, we call it, that is where it has to be a front flip or a back flip. You can twist all the directions you want. Okay, now that we've cleared that up, shall we move on to the event that Nemour is going to win?
Okay, well, let's don't go too far. Okay, gymter.net world rankings. 1, Kaylee Nemour. 2, Yang Fanyue. 3, Ludmila Roshchina. 4, Leila Vasilyeva. 5, Anna Kalmikova. All of the independent Russians. So pre-meet favorites, Kaylee Nemour, absolutely pre-meet favorite on bars. She is the Olympic champion. We've talked a little about why she is better than everyone else on bars. It largely comes down to difficulty and connections, the main things. But she has remarkable difficulty, like her eponymous Inbar layout Tkachev, which remains insane, and the fact that she can connect everything that she does on bars to the next thing that she does on bars, so it's just connection bonus after connection bonus after connection bonus, and she builds up a huge difficulty score. And the fact that she hits almost every time. She had one fall at Italian Nationals, and we were like, wait, that doesn't happen. She doesn't fall, but almost every time hits her bars routine. But closest challenger has been Yang Fanyue of China. She can also score a 15 and has scored a 15 so far this year. So she's the one forcing Kaylee Nemour not just to hit, but to hit a good one. Because if Nemour stays on but has some errors, then Yang is right there and can win. She also, made news this year. She got the layout Jaeger full named after herself. So that's the Yang, which is a skill that we've been waiting for. And then Suni Lee was going to do it and get it named after herself, but never went to a competition to get it named. And then she was like, I'm not going to do it at the Olympics. I'm not stupid. I want to win medals. But never happened. Yang Fanyue has that named after herself. So we're excited about her possibilities. Basically, what Yang has done is combine huge difficult releases in combination, which you need to do with the pirouetting that we typically know of from the top Chinese bars workers. And she could do both of those things really, really well. And that's why she could score exceptionally well. I would say that the other pre-meet medal favorite is just one of the Russian AINs. Could be any of them.
Whoever rushes
any of them on any given day. They all have the D score to potentially medal, particularly because of Inbar elements, which they're using to increase their D dramatically over most of the other top bars workers in the world who are really like, I need to get a 6-0. And then if you have Inbars, they're like 6-6, bye.
Yep.
But will you explain what an Inbar skill is, why it's so valuable, and why not that many people do it compared to like a Toan or a Stalder?
Yep. So an Inbar skill is basically your back is extremely flexible and you have been working on this for a very long time. So an Inbar skill is when if you want to do this at home right now, roll yourself onto your back. So you're in a total pike position. So your legs are between and your hands are facing up at the ceiling. So you have to fold your legs between your arms.
And if you have to go to the hospital because of this, it's not Jessica's fault.
That's right. That's right.
She didn't tell you to do that, and it's not her fault.
And some people do it the way it should be done, which is you are folded, your thighs are smashed against your nose. It is a flat position like a diver. And some people just barely get their feet in there. Like basically it looks like a toe on, but they just hold their feet away from the bar because they're extremely strong. So yeah. And they're really valuable because they're hard to do correctly and they're hard to get power out in and out of because you have to shove your feet between your legs. Yeah.
In our wide world of spoilers, that makes me think of Giulia Perotti, who also has in-bar elements in her bars routine of Italy. Can score very well on bars. It should also be right there. Italy will, even though Alice D'Amato is not at Worlds, they will still expect very good results on bars. This is a great bars team. I think it's their strongest event of all four as a group. This squad of four. Asia D'Amato also capable of getting a very high score. I think they'll be right there. Sky Blakely, upgraded to a 6-2 difficulty at camp, which is closer to competitive. I think if she hits that 6-2, which she got the difficulty on day 2 of the camp, but was really close on her pack and kind of had to muscle a cast out of it. I don't think she can afford to make an error like that at Worlds and be right up there. But if she hits the 6-2 cleanly, she should be very competitive on bars. And also Sanne Veerman of the Netherlands. Hopefully, I don't know if she'll do the Sights Bardwaj combination, but it's very cool when she does it. So if she does it, her difficulty should be right there. And Naomi Visser as well.
Is there a pathway to success on bars if you do not connect everything? As in, if you have more than 2 kips in your entire routine, I mean, 2 kips is like a lot. One to get on the bar and then somewhere before a dismount, probably. Can you do it? Is there an example of someone?
Alas, I'm worried that you cannot, but this is my Nakamura Haruka issue, who is one of my favorites of the entire World's roster on bars, doing a def, doing a Pike Delchev, which is named after her in the Code of Points. She has a really exciting, fun, interesting bars routine. It's really enjoyable to watch. But at the Asian Championships, she had 6 cast handstands in her routine, and she never really gets the scores that the people we're listing in the medal contenders conversation get. And it's annoying to me because I'm like, if there's any routine besides Kalia Nemour and Yang Fan Yue, like the next one should be Nakamura in terms of you are doing really interesting, extremely difficult things on bars, and that should be rewarded. And that's the person I would want to see on the podium with Nemour and Yang. Like if it were most interesting bars routine, Nakamura would be the 3rd person on that podium, but she hasn't gotten the scores, and it's frustrating to me. But well, do you want to explain like kind of why? Like why is that bad? Like she has 6 cast handstands and we're always like, oh, Kalia Nemour has no cast handstands, so she wins. Nakamura had 6 cast handstands, so it's a disaster. But do you want to explain like why that's a thing?
Yeah, because the thing on bars, because there aren't really any skills that are like, I mean, except if you're doing a def, which is a Ginger, 1.5 Ginger, or a full twisting Jaeger, then there's like, not be it like one single skill that's worth so much that it's going to make a huge difference in your routine. The thing that makes the scores grow on bars is the connection bonus. So just like beam, where you want to do your leap directly connected to your standing full or your core, while everyone's doing like jump into their Corbett, the back dive on beam. That is the same thing on bars. So you want to do everything directly into another skill. That's how you build your D. So anytime you're just doing a kip, you want to get the highest difficulty scores all connected. If you do a kip in between those, then it's like wah wah. Oh wait. Oh, a kip.
Oh, that's the sound of a kip.
When Nickelodeon calls, every time someone does a kip, it'll be like a mini version of that. That's like, oh, that was a 3rd kip in their routine. Nope, they're not going to get enough difficulty. So basically, that's why, because you're essentially not getting rewarded a connection between the 2 skills that you're about to do. The kip in between breaks that connection, and it's a sad moment. Although, just for bonus, if you're trying to win a medal, for everyone else, it's beautiful and amazing. And oh my God, you're at the World Championships and you're an elite gymnast. You're a superhuman. Yeah. Oh, also the other things that break things are If you are not vertical on your handstands, like you do a kip cast handstand and you don't get it all the way up there, it's like womp womp, then you're also going to get a deduction. And so also lack of hip extension on kips, you guys. This is the other thing. Like you think of a kip as just like, it was just a way to get on the bar. No, you have to make it beautiful. So you have to kip and extend your hips again all the way out, like your Barbie whoosh, at the hip. There, you should not be able to. You should be able to draw a straight line. There should be no bend in the line or deduction. And then bent arms, which is like another thing. Like all the people you see doing toe-ons and doing free hips, like there's so many bent arms. Even if you do a kip cast handstand, there's bent arms. Deduction.
So it's bad. So you're telling me don't do a cast. Don't cast a handstand.
Yeah. Also, if you can just do a kip in general, you're an amazing person because kips are hard. And I'll never forget Krista Maloney saying a kip was the hardest skill she ever learned. It took her so hard to learn it. So, shall we move on to the beam preview?
I would love to.
More than any other event, it comes down to confidence, Spencer. The ability to break the beam, as Allie Raisman would say. Hit under pressure, not be terrified of the skills you're doing like I always was, which reminds me of, oh, hello, Sam.
Hey, Sam Peszek here. Yep, I'm an Olympian, but you probably didn't know that I had crippling fears throughout my entire gymnastics journey. I kid you not, I was competing at World Championships and my coaches would be so nervous in hopes that I would just go for my series on beam. It was terrible. Fear is so prevalent in this sport, which is why I wanted to host a free live digital event for all gymnasts and coaches on Sunday, October 26th at 6 p.m. Central Time. Dr. Kylie Alt-Baker will share simple ways to face fear and build confidence in the gym. So invite every gymnast you know to register on our free Beam Queen app or go to beamqueen.com. That's beamqueen.com. See you there.
Thanks so much to Sam. I'm totally going to that. Okay, Gym.net, world rankings on Beam. Give it to me. The best, my favorite event.
1 and 2 from China, Zhou Yaqin and Zhang Qingying. 1-2, not a surprise there. Third is Nemour when she hits. Fourth, Hwang So-hyun of South Korea. And fifth, Giulia Perotti of Italy. Pre-meet favorites, I mean, it's Beam, so there's no such thing. But if everyone hits their best routine, I think we have 3 that are out in front, starting with Zhou Yaqin of China. 2 consecutive silvers, so she was silver at Worlds in 2023. Silver at the Olympics in 2024 when we all thought she was going to win and she grabbed the beam. She could have won gold on both occasions. Is this the time? I think once again, if everyone hits their perfect routine, she's number 1 for me on beam, but she hasn't run the table this year. There have been other gymnasts who have outscored her on beam, like her teammate Zhang Qingying, who won beam at the Chinese trials and hasn't scored lower than a 14.3 on beam all year long, which is insane. Because that's a super high score that most people don't get when they hit their best routine. And even her weakest ones this year have been over 14.3. So she's right there.
Also, you will remember this pair because they are, along with Zhou, is the one that when she won her beam medal, she was standing on the podium with the Italians and was like, why are they at the Olympics in Paris? Remember this? She was like, why are they biting their medals?
She was like, yeah, this is dumb.
I guess I'll bite this too. And it was hilarious. And then Zhou and Zhao were watching Simone on floor and they were like so stoked and getting so excited on the sidelines. It was one of my favorite things to watch. Just how stoked they were to be there watching Simone up close and Suni and how like fun they were with that team. So anyway, feelings, international world peace, the most important things about a world championship, Spencer. Okay, go on.
So I will add Hwang So-hyun of South Korea to our pre-meet medal favorites. She won the Asian Championship title. She beat Zhou Yaqin at the Asian Championships. She could do a D, like maybe the highest D score of the bunch, potentially. That's a sub fight is a D score fight. She might be able to do the highest D of the group. And if she stays on, it's going to be a huge score. So I think they are out there ahead. Can you explain how they are able to score at or close to a 15 when the other best gymnasts in the whole wide world on beam are like pumped to score 13.7?
Stop doing stuff. That's the biggest thing. Stop doing like 15 skills when you can only count 8 of your hardest D skills. Like, too many skills, too many attempts. And like, I love a backup skill. Don't get me wrong. You know how I love, like, there's 4 skills or like a gym macro all put together. So if you miss one, you have another one. But then every time you do one, like, you breathe, it's 3/10. Never forget the indomitable words of Suni Lee's coach. You did it, this amount was perfect, but you breathed, so 3/10 off. So there's that. Don't do too much. If there's too many skills, too much business, you're gonna get all the deductions. Get on, do your stuff, get off. You want to be smooth as fuck, as the kids say. Spencer.
Is that what they say? Do they say that?
That is what they say.
All right,
I feel
I've learned
like
something today.
Yeah, like beam is supposed to be, and this is what the Women's Technical Committee is trying to get back to, is beam is supposed to be a seamless marriage of dance, leaps, and acrobatics together. And the gymnasts who do that get the least adjustment deductions. And adjustment deductions will kill you, and you will not get your bonuses. This is like, I have to stop. I have to, like, stretch my neck 7 times. I have to touch the beam. I have to look around. I have to just dance to your acrobatics smoothly. Don't stop. Everything together. This is like Giulia Chin. Perfect. Like, she is one that totally gets it. You do not, everything goes together. There's like barely a pause from dance to actually doing her skills. Like, it's perfectly exactly what the code wants, which is why her skill is so, her routine, her scores are so freaking huge. Also, always being herself, joyful and funny everywhere, like I talked about, like at Paris. Yeah, and also the showing the mastery with the crazy side jumps. The side jumps are so hard, and you don't see people doing those because you're not looking at the beam. So you're basically standing 4 feet up plus the podium, so you're 7 feet in the air-ish. You're looking into outer space / nothing / random people in the crowd or the judges, and you're like, well, I'm going to jump up in the air and hope I turn and land back on this thing, and don't move 8 centimeters, 10 centimeters, either direction. Like, it's so hard to do those facing away from the beam skills.
Especially now that they've changed the rules. So there was a period when everyone was doing side jumps, because if you were doing a half turn side jump, like the way Simone Biles would do it, which is you could do a quarter turn and then split long ways along the beam, like the same length as the beam, and then do it your second quarter turn. And they were like, no. You either have to jump up and split and then do all the turning on the way down, or you have to jump and do all the turning and then split. But your split has to be perpendicular to the beam. And then everyone was like, oh crap, that's like hard. And so all but the best people stopped doing it. And so now the hint that someone is really like superhuman good on beam is that they didn't get rid of that side jump in their routine once the Women's Technical Committee was like, no, it has to be harder.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so squeeze all the bonus in that you can. This is the most important thing. Connect everything seamlessly. Smooth as fuck. Just remember that. If you see something that's not smooth AF, then it's going to be 3/10. And that's how you can judge at home, everybody. You're welcome.
Yeah, there you go. In the wide world of spoilers, Kaylia Nemour, I would not put her in the favorites because I don't think she has shown enough consistency this year. It's like a very 50-50 proposition. But she has, when she hits her routine, she has the composition to be one of the medal favorites and be right up there with the 3 that I named already. When she gets everything and hits, I just don't know if she is going to, which is also critical for her all-around hopes. But the thing is, she has enough flexibility in her routine that in an all-around context, she can be like, I'm not going to go for everything and I'll still get a 14. Like, she could be like, okay, I'm not going to go for the layout to 2 feet. Let's do a layout step out, maybe a layout step out, layout step out combination. So she has the ability to kind of dial it down a few notches when she needs to hit in an all-around context. And that could also be helpful for her at Worlds. Also, Flavia Saraiva, and it hurts me to say she's a spoiler because she's Flavia and she is the favorite for every gold ever. She's on beam. She is perfect. I don't know if she's doing the composition right now that it could be the hit from the others that we've talked about so far, but obviously she has the execution. Obviously she can get a 14 on beam. She's going to be right there. I need it to be Flavia's time for like a world beam title, because how are you living in a world where Flavia's not your medalist / all 3 medalists, but she's up there, but maybe not.
Oh, you're just You mentioned Flavia, so the
God.
angel sang. I'm so sorry. Was that
And every train of thought I've ever had in my life because I was assaulted by the sound. Okay. Also, the entirety of Japan.
yes?
I don't know who's going to do beam for Japan. That's one of those my questions. Like, who's going to do bars for Russia? Who's going to vault for Canada? Who's going to do beam for Japan? Because it should be all 4 of their team members. You can't not let any of them do beam. That's unacceptable. So, but Okamura is kind of on the team to be the beamer, but Sugihara is great on beam. Kishi's great on beam. I love Nakamura on beam. So we will see. Basically, there are about 30 people for me to talk about here. All of the neutral Russians. Sky Blakely, when she stays on, when she hits, when she is secure, she should be an event finalist. And if you are an event finalist on beam, you are a medal favorite because who knows what's going to happen in the final. So there are like 80 billion people we could talk about.
And if there's no ribbons in her face and no
Right.
water on the beam,
yeah,
let's hope for the best. It is the monsoon season, and it's supposed to be raining heavily every single day that Worlds is happening. So yeah, but I mean, it's Jakarta. They're built for this. They have monsoon season. So apparently Liverpool was not, and they had a leak directly onto the beam. Didn't stop the competition because why would you do that?
So Jessica, are you able to, like, should I keep going, or are you able to talk about beam even though Manila Esposito is not going to be at Worlds? Because I feel like we haven't really been able to talk about it, but I don't know if, like, in this therapy session we've gotten to a place where you can talk about it.
Thank you for asking if I'm ready to discuss it. I am not.
Okay. I respect where you are in your journey.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I had her as my winner, and she's not even going because Italy and their, long-term planning, whatever. It's fine. But we do have Giulia Perotti and her kicking the invisible ghost choreography on beam. You'll know it when you see it. She kicks them with both legs because they are not going to get her off the beam. You can't expect to
get rid of the ghosts if you're only kicking them with one leg.
Right. You get them both sides. Boom, boom. Yeah. And her smoothness, and she's just like, yeah, again, one of the people, the smoothness on beam, the everything connected, not the jerkiness. I love watching her in beam. She's got all the skills. She is going to be, as we've said, have we said this 100 times in both previews, that she's going to be the breakout star?
See, this is the problem, because that's also what we said about Manila in her first Worlds, and it kind of didn't go great for her. But
now like she's a star.
But now she's the star. So I feel like we were just ahead of the moment. We were ahead of the trends. So yes, we're putting too much pressure on Giulia Perotti. It might not happen this time, but she's so talented that if it doesn't happen this time, she's just going to Manila later in the future.
Yes, exactly. We also have forgotten to put our caveats into this, which is that one, we already talked about, we did 2 episodes talking about the US selection trials for Worlds and like the problems, the landing, surfaces problems, and that, what we think of the selection. But at the end, we were like, yeah, they pretty much chose the correct team. We're interested to see how the E scores end up and how the vaults, the chungs are judged when we get to Worlds. But the other very important caveat, if you haven't listened to those 2 episodes, is that these previews, 5% of everybody at Worlds is going to be hurt before these episodes come out, or by the time the actual competition starts. So just know that, we might preview this and then it totally changes. So, but not to anyone we're talking about. Knocking on all the wood, just so you know. Knocking on all the things. Who is on your team layout full? Who's actually getting credit and isn't piking it down? Thank you very much.
How dare you? Morgana Cesek and Sabrina Voynet are on team layout full, and they are both going to make the beam final because they're actually going for intense difficulty, which is what I want to see on beam. What I don't want to see on beam is everyone maxing out at D elements and connecting them and getting the highest scores. I want to see Arabians. I want to see back tuck falls. I want to see back layout falls. I don't want to see aerial to split jump to straddle jump. Side aerial to back handspring to Corbett. Yeah, I mean, it was good for a while, but now I'm tired of it. So that is what I would like to see on beam.
So you want China in the 90s on beam, which was
I want everyone
the
to
best
be
era.
Kui Yan Yan. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's true just in life, for everywhere, always, ever. Yes.
I mean, we do have one Flying Banana Jesus. No, we have 2 Flying Banana Jesus vaults coming up at Worlds.
But that is not what I'm talking about right now, and I don't.
I know, but I'm just saying, kind of in the 90s.
We're on me right now and the things I care about, and that is a you thing that you care about.
Okay, but just so everybody knows, Flying Banana Jesus is a handspring front layout done perfectly, but with your arms. You can't be like, dinosaur arms. You have to have them both out by your sides like you are Danelle Leyva doing a laid out Tkachev. That is full Banana Jesus. A little arch in the back is the banana. You're welcome. Now everyone understands. Okay. Spencer, does it pay to go for the big difficulty like you want everyone to do on Beam? F elements? G, H?
I'm worried it doesn't. But my hope is that we're going to watch Worlds and they're going to be so harsh on connection bonuses and be like, you paused for a millisecond. No credit. And then everyone who's doing actually getting their difficulty from element values instead of combinations rises to the top, which is my dream.
Yes, as we love to see. I want to talk about how to watch Beam like an expert because it is my favorite.
Yes. Let us know.
Yeah.
It is your life's work. So basically, I think a lot of people have the question of, okay, why are these execution scores on Beam in the low 7s for like solid hit Beam routines? How are there almost 3 points off if you didn't fall? And why do you in particular, Jessica O'Byrne, endorse these crimes against the gymnasts?
Yeah, these E-scores are too high. This is the problem.
Yeah, it's too high. It's low 7s is too high in your world. But would you like to explain, like, how does this happen? What are they actually deducting for?
You basically, you don't even, you can see a perfect routine and no one has even wobbled, but it doesn't matter because there's so many things. Like I said, you breathe. If you do an element, it's 3/10. So, but the good thing is that we all agree on here as a family, lack of split. So 20 degrees, a tenth. More than that is 3/10. I would like to be higher. That's just part of it. So, but we agree with there. Bent knees, flexed feet, hips not square. Like we talked about, laser beams, shoulders, knees, feet, laser beams. So if your switch half, this is like one thing that's driving me nuts. If your switch half is not all the way turned, then even if you split 180, but your crotch is facing the judges still, when you split, it's a deduction. And we see this a lot. So your hips, the laser beams that are attached to your hip bones have to be facing back at the beam. They can't be facing off into the wilderness over at floor. That is a big deduction. This is why people should stop doing this skill because it's not worth it. And also, there's like 3 people in the world who do it well, and everyone else should just stop.
And I feel like a lot of times on that skill, the actual split position is over focused because I think a lot of people are maybe getting like a tenth, but 20 degrees, it's within 20 degrees for 1/10. 20 degrees is a lot. Like you have to be really short of split to get to 3/10 territory. More often it's like 1/10 for lack of split and 1/10 for the hip position and 1/10 for bent knees. And like, that's kind of where it accumulates.
Yeah. There's also Flip Fly Tumble, Emily. She's going to be at Worlds. I'm very excited to see her. Hopefully we're going to get to do an escape room. And she has great videos on YouTube and on her Instagram that explain all of the deductions. And it's like, yeah, they're super helpful. Like she shows, why there's like body position deductions and why there's like a balance error. Like if you're doing a leap and you're like, you have to balance with your arms, all those kind of things. Really great. Again, this is Flip Fly Tumble's channel. She's a brevet judge and she does excellent explanations about what you want to see. And basically, if it looks like someone's struggling to keep their balance, it's a deduction. Not to mention, the feet, all of that stuff. So the feet, the not split, the legs, all of that. Okay, is there anything I missed from that? The do less. You're counting 8 elements plus doing back handspring and round offs and you have chronic knees, then, you're losing a whole point in deduction just for knees. Like if you can't do it with really good form, don't be adding in those extra skills that you don't need. This is do less.
Yeah.
And rhythm, like I talked about being smooth, the rhythm is a real deduction.
Mm-hmm.
So the pauses are a deduction. connections. Like if you're not going smoothly and your arms don't keep moving the entire time, like, yeah, you can't.
Your connection is broken. Yeah.
Yes. Like when it looks like you're nervous and you're like, I'm preparing, or, oh, I'm trying to go really, really slow so I don't lose the connection. Those are all deductions. If it doesn't look like it is seamlessly marriage, one thread of dance, leaps and jumps and acrobatics, then it is a deduction.
And what we were, if you were a visual listener, what we were just looking at is from the FIG educational materials. We were watching Jaji Barbosa. This is an old routine, preparing to dismount on beam and getting deducted for doing nothing, which I think is something that we tend to ignore when we're watching beam routines. Like if someone's not doing an element or doing like very consciously, like this is my side choreography that I'm doing to fulfill the artistry checklist, then we kind of turn off. But it's a good example that they use of you're moving, you're preparing to dismount on beam. You're at the end of the beam. You're moving your feet all around to get into exactly the right position. That's an adjustment deduction. You're pausing before doing your dismount. That's a pause deduction. You're standing a little bit with hunched shoulders, or you're looking down at the beam, or your chest is a little forward. You're losing body posture on the artistry checklist. So you could just, like, it's very possible that you could just stand there and lose 3/10.
Yeah.
Any routine. And that's, I think, also a big reason why these E-scores end up being like 7-2. And we're like, yay, she got a 7-2. And you're like, wait, what? Yeah. Because you just stand there and lose 3/10. And it's not, sometimes I get frustrated that it's like, oh, you know, you were talking about the story of like, oh, you did an element 3/10, you breathe 3/10. It's like, they're actual deductions. Like, it pays to know what they are, because they're not just saying, oh, you stood there, so I'm going to take 3/10. They're saying, the educational materials we've been getting are adjustment 1/10, pause 1/10, artistry checklist 1/10. Those are things you can know what they are and avoid them pretty easily relative to other deductions. Like, there are some things that are easier to fix than others. Some of them are just like, that's how I do gymnastics. Everyone just deal with it. There are some things you can fix, and these are things you can fix. Yep. And in, you know, Jaji's defense for this example, she was doing this routine before. Those were things, this is like a post hoc example of like, this is what would happen. But, you know, there are things you can fix and you can get rid of when you get 3/10 for just standing there.
Our floor preview, who is in the running for medals?
Okay, so our gymtour.net world rankings, grains of salt, get your whole salt shaker. Anna Kalmikova, Joss Roberson, Sugihara Aiko, Giulia Perotti, and Leila Vasilyeva. Our pre-meet favorites are nobody, but I think one of the big talking points is D-score and how it's going to play out. Joss Roberson has the highest D-score in the world. The general consensus has been that she's going to get E-scored into submission and not end up placing high. Also, the question, like, is she healthy enough to go through a whole Worlds? But you know, she doesn't need a huge E-score. Like, she can't get a 7-0, but like she could win with a 7-6. It's not like she has to get some 8-3 that she's never going to happen. So I think she's in there and we have to start with her, and then maybe like, oh, the E-score wasn't there and she finishes 7th. Sabrina Voynea also has the D. She's been so close so many times. 2024 final, I think she's definitely a medal contender. And then, you know, any independent Russian or American, Kalmikova's the world leader. Melnikova could be there. Leanne Wong has a world medal on floor, so we're not ignoring that. Dulcie Kaler tied Joss Roberson with her 3 passes at selection camp. So there's a lot of people in there. But do you want to explain a little bit of why I'm like, floor this year? Why I'm kind of mad at floor this year and the field?
It's hard because none of the floor medalists or any of the 3 people who were sort of kind of should have had the 3rd place medal are there, except Voynea from the Paris Olympics. No Andrade. So, and there's just no one like Andrade. There's just no one with her like the beauty and her ability to dance and the skills. There's just like no one like her as like the whole package. The super difficult tumbling, the performance quality, the ability to connect with the audience too. So some people have one of those things, like Fiovanti, who I really like, but not all of them together in one package. So, but maybe someone will totally surprise us and we'll be like, oh my God. Yeah, like Ruby Evans, I love watching her. Like, she's into her floor routine and she loves it. But all the things aren't there in that floor routine, even though it's like buttery. So yeah, that's kind of why.
Yeah. I do want to point out Sugihara is the only person to score a 14 on floor this year outside of her home country. Like, we've seen a lot of charitable 14s, but I think she has that argument in her corner, which is like, I did it at the Asian, like I did it at the Asian Championships. I got at a real meet. I got a 14 on floor. So she has that. Charlize Moerz is another one. Can do a D score over 6. So she's going to be up there. Kishirina made the Olympic floor final. If they destroy everyone on execution score, if they're like, you're all 6s and I hate you, Zhou Yaqin is so clean. She doesn't do a lot of difficulty, but like, she's in clean hit with E-score club. So those are possibilities. I want to know from you, do you have gymnasts who, like, does anyone actually not belong in dance prison? Or is it just like no one's doing the assignment correctly?
I mean, there's some people who have the potential, but it's like they're not comfortable enough showing the pain of a nation.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't had enough loves and losses yet to really get there in their floor routines. Like Perotti and Fioravante, like I feel like give them a little while on their floor is going to be like so great. But Fontaine from Canada can move. She can move and she can tumble. Like, she's very, very good. Marta Pihan-Kuleza from Poland. Obviously, she has 2 kids. She's already lost the love of her life. Her cat, who was a giant Mancoon, and so she's expressing that pain, when she was doing her Pink Panther. Actually, he died after, but she has the life behind her floor performances. So I don't know if she's going to do floor, but you should always watch her if she does, because she always has great choreography and maybe a leotard that matches. Alba Petisco is someone who, again, shows the commitment on floor. Like, even if it's not your cup of tea, she's doing all the things and she has hard tumbling and she's committing. Adeldinsdottir is the fighting lion choreo that we talked about that she had.
Yeah.
That is something really interesting that she has. I mean, I'm kind of waiting to see if the Belgians show up with anything crazy, like if they bring actual animals and let them loose in the arena. But there's there's some people who have moments, but there's no one who I'm like, this is the greatest floor worker of all time. But I'm waiting to see who is oh, it's Worlds. This is my stage. Mm-hmm. Welcome to my show.
My big question is just it's going to be who wins 4 passes or 3 passes, which is basically is a hot dog a sandwich of gymnastics? Is it 4 passes or is it 3 passes and a lot of combination and dance elements? What actually pays? So that's kind of what I'm watching. Do you have a little bit on how to watch floor like an expert before we let Worlds play out?
Yeah. So for no reason at all, I just want to talk about what the inquiry rules are on.
Yes, just
floor.
Randomly. Yeah,
we don't have a whole episode.
It's never come up before, but
no,
just
never.
To refresh. Yeah,
Paris Olympics. Yeah, you can inquire the D score, the time, like my overtime or undertime,
mm-hmm.
and the line, the out of bounds, inbound line. You cannot inquire an E score. This is why Voynia does not have an Olympic medal on floor.
Mm-hmm. How have these rules changed? Because they changed. How have they changed?
Right, because there's a debacle.
What's the new stuff we need to know?
Right, so what did they fix? So they were rewritten, and it's definitely a total coincidence, and it's not 100% based on what happened in Paris. So you now have 2 minutes after the score is displayed to submit an inquiry. Before, the last person who went had 1 minute. You were just screwed. Childs at the Olympics. She was the last one up, and so they were like, yeah, you have 1 minute and that's it. So an electric system now automatically rejects late inquiries, because of the Olympics, it's a human being that was a volunteer from the French system who was also a high level judge, but was just oh, did you yell at me to do the thing? Okay, now I write it down. There's an electric system with timestamps. Electronic. It's not electric. It doesn't shock you if you're late, but that would let you know right away.
Jessica's now wait a second.
The big thing is decisions on inquiries. This is quoting from the code. Decisions on inquiries are final field of play decisions and cannot be challenged internally or externally, including appeals to the Court of Arbitration of Sport, CAS, which has no jurisdiction over any challenge. This rule overrides any prior or future provisions granting CAS broader jurisdiction. So this is the whole thing, is that we thought there's no way they're going to change Jordan Child's medal on floor because they have never, they've never gone to a field of play decision and overturned it, and they did. And we know, I'll link to the full episode on that if you're not clear on every single thing that happened in that and how it was a complete clown car. We have an episode on that. So that is like, do your inquiry or you're fucked.
So what did we learn about when you should inquire on floor?
Immediately, right away. And you should just have it ready already, and your coach is already standing there to turn it in while you're doing your routine. First of all, anytime a dance element doesn't get credit, you have to inquire. Anytime. That is D score. Am I getting credit for a dance element? Do it. Because at the Olympics, they were like, oh, you didn't get that jump all the way around, but we're going to give you credit. Always inquire about your dance credit.
Especially on floor, because you're not worried about like your connection going crazy like you are on if you get Kara Akered on beam, and then it turns out to be a bad idea that you inquired because you've got less.
Right, because you can always get your score lowered, which has happened, which everyone saw coming, and Kara Aker's coaches chose to ignore. So, yeah, always inquire. The most important thing. Okay.
We did it. Enjoy Worlds, everyone.
We did it. We did it. Okay, I want to give a huge shout out to Vicky for sending us. You guys are going to be so excited about this. Vicky sent us this is a Traveler Altar and Happiness spell. So, which comes with candles and some spices and stuff to put in a little bottle with some salt so we can travel with it, and it's all the things in here. So yes, I will be creating the altar. We will be traveling with it, but not the matches. And then we will display it wherever we are, so we will have good travel juju. So thank you so much to Vicky. This is the cutest thing ever, and I love it so much, and I'm so excited about it. So reminder that I will be with Deanna and Fact Checker in Jakarta. No behind the scenes this week because we will be at Worlds watching training and watching podium training. The first episode is October 17th, Jakarta time. So check your local time. I have a big chart up that's like, here's the time in Jakarta. Here's what day it is in other parts of the world. Yeah, you can join us and ask questions live and watch us record immediately after the podium trainings and after every medal round live from Jakarta if you're a Club Gym Nerd member. So thank you to all of you and all of you that donated to the scholarship fund, which we'll put a link to. If you can't afford Club Gym Nerd scholarship, there's still time to get a Club Gym Nerd membership for a year. Thank you to everybody who helped us with the fundraiser so that we could afford this trip. It really, really helps. And thanks again to all of our sponsors. Okay, until women's podium training, the first day on October 17th, remember to take off on gay, split on rights. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you after podium training.